Before the break, we asked when was the last British cop killer executed? And the answer is in 1959.
The last person executed in this country for killing a cop was a guy called Gunter Podeler in 1959. He gunned down D.S. Raymond Purdy after the cop had tried to nick him for blackmail and burglary. Welcome back to Thursday's show with Christopher Biggins, Larry Turner and Joe McElderry, who's going to have the rest of today's headlines for you next, including Nick Clegg says sorry. I'll find out what for a little later. The list is quite long. And we have news of a growing campaign to get Page 3 girls banned once and for all. But first we're asking if it's time to restore the death penalty specifically for cop killers. 0207 173 5555 is the number if you at home have something to share. If we're not going to arm the police, then perhaps the ultimate punishment is needed to deter those who shoot at or, God forbid, lob grenades at our boys and girls in blue. Norman Tebbit is one of those backing a campaign to bring it back. Whilst in the UK, the rate of cop killings has increased decade after decade since we abolished the death penalty. In the United States, those states with the penalty are no safer for police officers than those without it. So I don't know if the case is proven that the death penalty would deter those from killing cops. But before the break, Biggins said, why restrict the death penalty to cop killers? DNA advances would hopefully eradicate miscarriages of justice. Larry reckons we shouldn't bring back the death penalty. The police don't want it. We don't need it. Better intelligence would perhaps lead to fewer killings. Joe felt like me that reintroducing the death penalty would be stooping to the same level of the killers themselves, and it won't stop people from committing these heinous crimes. But Kirsty, I have a suspicion I know what the people at home are going to say, but who have we got up for?
OK, we'll start with Pat on line 1.
Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Matthew. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. Do we need the death penalty to deter cop killers?
Well, I'm a serving police officer, and obviously events of the past 48 hours have brought my profession into centre of public attention.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us, and I think if you ask 100 cops, you get 100 different points of view.
Yeah.
From my point of view, it'd be nice if we felt that there was some ultimate support behind us, some ultimate deterrent, because, you know, I go out, the job that these poor girls do was a job that to me is a run-of-the-mill thing for us to go to.
Yeah.
And you do worry, you know, as that last time you said goodbye to your missus, was that last time you see him. So it would be nice if we felt there was some ultimate support there. The courts are, they're very much led by what the government asks.
For sure.
Guidelines are given. So if we had that, the real deterrent for attacking us. I mean, I was attacked very recently, and there's next to nothing that's happened. And some people say it's the nature of the beast and everything, but it would just be nice if there was that real.
What about? Would you wish to be armed? Do you think police officers should be armed?
I tried to get through yesterday. I think we should have better access to it. I mean, the point I wanted to make yesterday was when you hear people, ACPO and everything, saying that there's no passion for it in cops to be armed. Well, it's like any head of a big business, any big organisation, they've not been on the shop floor.
Right. I wondered whether, and I don't want to go too much on what you did yesterday, but it just suddenly dawned on me that perhaps all these surveys that say police officers don't want to be armed are skewed by those officers that serve in rural communities, perhaps where there is less gun crime. They will say, well, there's no need, and that maybe doesn't take into account what's going on in some of our tougher neighbourhoods.
Well, yes, that's a good point, but you can still, I mean, look at those awful things that happened in Cumbria a few years ago where Bird went on a rampage and the first cops that turned up on scene were unarmed.
Yeah.
And there's a good suggestion that had they been armed, things might have been somewhat different.
Yeah.
There is no simple answer, and as I said, cops will give you a lot of different answers.
Yeah, well, I think as we're about to find out, Pat, I think so will civilians as well. Thank you very much for the work you do on our behalf. Thank you for the call as well. Let's have another.
We have John on line 3.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Is it time to bring back the ultimate deterrent? Is it a deterrent, the death penalty?
Generally speaking, I'm against the death penalty anyway, but in particular, I'm against the death penalty for particular groups of people. It appears to me that you would be putting greater value on a person simply because of their career choice, their profession, or their calling that they take.
Yeah.
You know, we have many professions that work in dangerous and pretty tricky situations at armed forces, doctors, nurses, social workers, even television presenters. You can't value the value of the life simply on someone's profession or calling.
For me, John, though, I guess what I'm saying that there is there is a sort of space in my brain that can accept it, which is that sending police officers out unarmed to deal with situations that can result in their murder, that's quite a big ask for someone who's paid as a salary maybe a little more than the national average income. That's a big ask, and when you hear accounts of people lobbing grenades at police officers, you start to think, well, and see that the rates of cop killings are going up decade after decade, I start to think, well, maybe something really drastic does need to happen to stop this.
Yes, but that's a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes, yeah.
I don't really believe that if the death penalty were in force at this moment for cop killing, that would have stopped that man. You know, it's a difficult question, but simply from a moral perspective, I don't think that we should value our life simply because of the profession that we're following.
Okay, John, thank you. Thank you once again. Another one, please.
We have Ken on line 2.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Matthew.
Death penalty for cop killers, sir?
I would like to see the death penalty reinstated across the board because I think it's a life for a life. When a person's life is taken away, if you brought back public hanging or however we did it, that person will never be able to kill another person again. Yeah,
but then, Ken, what if you do, as there's happened in the past with the death penalty, the state executes someone who's innocent? No.
We don't execute people just for the sake of executing. Beyond any shadow of doubt.
So that's what they said in the 60s.
Beyond any shadow of doubt, then that person would be executed. And I'm not hearing you too well, and I've had to turn the telly down, so...
That's right. Well, that's what they said in the 60s, that it was always beyond, wasn't it, beyond reasonable doubt, and still innocent people lost their lives. I mean, Christopher quite rightly cited with DNA advances increase the probability 99%. We had a court case earlier this year where somebody's DNA was muddled up and a guy went to prison for it. It wasn't a death penalty type crime, but if it had been a death penalty crime, that guy could have paid with his life. And again, the state would therefore have blood on its hand, would be guilty of some kind of a murder or manslaughter. I don't know. Across the board, I have a problem with the death penalty, full stop. But I also have a problem with unarmed police officers being murdered. And I don't know. I'm glad we had the phone in. I'm also glad it's come to an end. We're taking a break. After which is Joe with the rest of the headlines for you, including calls to boycott milk produced by farmers who shoot badgers. Now, there's a good idea. And sticking with cute furry things, claims thousands of workers take weeks off work to settle in new pets at home. Can you believe that? All that and more on the other side of the break.
According to today's Metro, a Tory MP has suggested young people do what for cash if they can't find a job? Beg, borrow or busk? Find out after this short break.